Hey guys, won't they do it? I like to say that. I was talking to. This is going to be a discussion, and I want to open it up because I want people to respond. I'll try to be quick, and I'll try to ask. Try to be very specific about certain things. Um, I was talking to a dear friend of mine who I haven't seen in years because I moved from New York, and so most of my friends are still in New York. But she brought to my attention this thing about Shaniya. I'm not sure of her name. Shaniya Davis, little 5-year-old girl that was murdered recently. She was raped, and her body was thrown along the side of a road, and the searching team could not find her. They actually stepped over her because they couldn't tell it from her body, from deer carcass. Now, we are in a turning point in our society where we say that nothing is sacred. And I tend to disagree. I believe that children are sacred. I believe that there are certain things that everything that has to do about a child is sacred. That there has to be some things that we consider holy, or as we say, sacred as in sanctioned, or sanctions, like when we sanction against a country, we say, well, we're not gonna an embargo or sanction. I'm not sure the exact entire terminology, but basically what we say is we can go this far and no farther. That there's a standard lift up against it, and I believe children, and I'm not talking about the little hot teenage mamas that we have developed, like the 17 girls that they're all pregnant and none of them are married. I mean, that's what marriage is supposed to do. It's supposed to sanction sex. It's supposed to sanction and set up standards against sex. And if you say that there is no sanction, no difference, no standard against sex, against marriage, and then therefore there is no sanction, no standard against sex, I disagree. There are certain situations or certain things that we consider to be immoral, and having sex or raping a 5-year-old child is immoral. And in general, we have a basic law which I don't fully agree with. A 15-year-old girl getting pregnant and doing heck what she want to do, I don't consider that to be immoral. That's personally me. I just think not. I just think that these girls that have the intelligence to lay down and open their legs for, they made a decision. People say that, well, they're not smart enough to make a decision for marriage, but they're already pregnant. Okay, so whether they are smart enough to make it or not, they've already made it, and the results are there, and they're undeniable. So my point is that there are certain things that children are sacred. Children are sacred. So there's supposed to be a standard, and sex, and I believe that all sex is sacred. Okay, I believe that there's a spiritual thing that happens to become one flesh. That happens in a spiritual world. Okay, now you don't believe it, but I think that things that happen in the spiritual world manifest themselves in the material world. Okay, and so therefore, like when they become one flesh in the spiritual world, as what God said it, then it also becomes one flesh in the material world, which is a child, which is sacred. Okay, so there's this loop of things that, is sacred. Marriage is sacred. Children are sacred. Sex is sacred. Okay, so this all kind of flows in it. Now, people who say that sex isn't sacred, that there's no difference, that it's just human instinct. I believe that, yes, we do teach our children that, or teach our teenage daughters to move on your instinct. But men and women, humans, are supposed to be better than animals. We're supposed to have decision making. We're just, we don't move on instinct. People say that, well, self protection is just a basic human instinct. You can hate Christians all you want, but what they say is that everything in life is a choice. Everything in life is a choice, including not only who you have sex with, but whether you have sex with or not. We basically teach you have a choice to sex, and that you can abstain from sex at a certain age. If you're underage, you can abstain, as opposed to teaching children to just move on your instincts. That's what they're teaching children, and homosexual agenda is to move on your instinct. When we have situations where they say, well, self-protection is just self-protecting yourself, not letting somebody beat you up, or just defending yourself, is just a human instinct. It may be instinct, but you can control every instinct. That's the point of being human. It's not to be an animal, and not to act like an animal, not to move on your instincts. A prime example of when human beings decided to be human beings instead of animals was the civil rights movement. So, some of the bother about, people who compare themselves as moving on their instincts and not being able to control themselves, to comparing themselves to black people who had to control themselves not to hit or violent, or to turn the other cheek, not to forego self-protection for a higher principle or ideal. Okay, so to say that we have to be even human protection, protecting your life, is not instinctual. It does not have to be. You have a human choice over that. So nonviolent protests are human and our choice. So we have control over everything. We have control over sex and everything. And for a man to lay his life down when people are trying to kill him, those who, in the name of love, is love. And as it says in the Bible, there is no greater act of love than for another man to lay his life down for his brother. There is no higher act of love. Okay, so love is more equated to sacrifice and choice and being human instead of instinctual. There was a thing about in Dune, one of my favorite scenes in that movie was when you put your hand. This witch came and you put your hand in this box, and you feel that she works on your mind, and she hypnotizes you, and she said you get a feeling on your hand and it starts burning. If you take your hand out of the box, she put a needle to his neck and said, if you take your hand out of the box, because she knew it was only mental, and she said, if you take your hand out of that box, then I'll poke you in the neck and kill you with this poison needle, because then you have acted like an animal instead of a human. And so she gives him this mental pain, and he never takes his hand out of the box. Okay, that's an example, an illustration of being human, is controlling your instincts. So, to me, it's all a matter of choice. And so we have a choice what we do. Somebody who makes the wrong choices, a mother, everybody can make a wrong choice. Everybody can let their instincts, their emotions overrule them. But we are humans, and we are supposed to be better and greater than that. We're supposed to be better and smarter than animals. Animals eat doo-doo. I played like the stock market. Okay, I don't play the stock market, but I work a computer. Animals don't do that. We're higher sentient beings. Okay, so anyway, my point is these are things that we hold sacred, and those decisions and those things. Now, we had a weak governor who is interested in his own self-interest and his own comfort level, that he, Patterson, and I really think Mr. President Obama, for even asking him not to run again. You have just really disgraced it. And it was so weak because then he says, well, it's because I'm black and we got a black president, and a black president is telling them you're a disgrace, just like, well, everybody makes mistakes, but this, I've said before that you can do one small act and it puts you, but you're supposed to make decisions over that. So that's the point of what I wanted to make, is that, marriage governs sex. The ideal model is that 17-year-old girls are supposed to wait until they're married. They're not supposed to all get pregnant all at once in a high school. Okay. They're supposed to wait until marriage. This is the standard. And we're supposed to strive for that standard. When you tell people that, you can drag any old thing up on the altar of God, you can marry anything you feel like, and there is no standard, there is nothing that's sacred. We condone when we say you can have sex with anything, anybody, anyhow, anyway. When we say that, we condone this behavior. We condone this behavior. Society in general, we say that, the institution that puts together the sacred situation of a family. Now, I'm not talking about substitute families. I'm not talking about a woman that gets pregnant for 11 years, gets divorced, becomes disgruntled, and then some other gay woman that is looking to prey on a homosexual families, heterosexual families, substitute, being there and helping the woman. That's how it came about. These women that, I need to do another blog on it, but, a lot of women that wind up, hurt and or whatever situation, and then some other gay woman, and then they pretend that it's a family. It's not. It's a substitution of a family. And we forget that. We've all of a sudden said, well, this substitution, this consequential situation is not the standard. We're trying to make that situation a standard when it's not. That's not the model. That's why the model never changes. Because when we start just throwing anything up, and marriage can be any old thing, then sex can be any old thing, and then you can have sex with any old thing you want, underage little girls and stuff like that. Now, again, like I said, I personally believe that, teenage girls that are getting pregnant need to be able to get married, not grown men marrying each other. That's psychotic. It makes no sense. And then when you have those substitute families, none of them, I can understand, okay, well, you could say the same thing. Well, here comes a man, and you have two divorced couples, the Brady Bunch, two divorced couples, okay, get together, okay. But you know what? It's really interesting. The Brady Bunch could have had more kids, okay, but they were smart enough to not to try to pull more kids into the situation. But think about it. There's a story of that's not the model. As we find out what happened, the guy from the Brady Bunch was actually gay. That's not really the model. That's not the substitute. That's a substitute situation. That's not a real family. The real family is people you share your genes with and to protect their bloodlines. And so it is to govern sex. Sex does have restrictions. And that's what marriage is supposed to do. You can't marry, heterosexuals can't have sex with anybody they feel like it. They can't have sex with their family members. It's to govern sex. So, saying that, these substitute situations, that there's no standard and that the substitute, the imperfect situation, the consequential situation, I'm looking for a better term, but I can't find it right now, and I need to end this video. Okay, it's not the best. That's not the standard. When a gay woman comes around and you have a heartbroken family, oh, that is missing. A single person, a single parent is just means somebody's missing. And then a gay woman says, oh, well, I can take care of you. I can make sure you have money, your kids, and all that situation, and then that, she's made an error. The gay woman has made an error in her thinking from the first start, from having sex with a woman, okay, it's not appropriate. Now everybody get their freaky deaky on. I understand that, but that has limitations. That has limitations. So to say that, okay, this becomes the norm, and then and even in a situation where you do have the Brady Bunch, they could at least have sex and continue to have a family. A situation where you have a homosexual woman, they can't continue on, so then they need to drain other resources, adoption, make rules that tear down the family and tear down the laws that govern the family. So to me, that's very, very selfish. And that's very, very instinctual. And I don't want anybody who can't control their instincts and saying that they're no more than animals telling me that I can't keep the same, I can't strive for better and keep the standard. God bless you all. Love you all. Really, I do.